guys, this is FK, and in this video we're going to be having a getting started to CrewAI. If you have clicked on this video, I want to assume you already know what CrewAI is all about. But CrewAI is an agentic framework. It helps you build agentic workflows from simple to complex workflows. And CrewAI also shines in the fact that it can help you build multi-agent applications using your favorite LLMs. So in this video, we're going to be building an agentic technical writer. So we simply give it a topic, and it researches that topic and writes a very publishable article. So if you're interested in that, let's get started. So to get started, first let us understand what CrewAI is all about. What is the setup of CrewAI, or what is the architecture of CrewAI? How does it work? Today we're going to be learning all about CrewAI. And to make things simple, CrewAI consists of three main parts. You have agents, you have tasks, and you have the crew itself. These are the three main parts of CrewAI: agents, tasks, crew. Now, your agents are your autonomous systems that are specialized in taking different types of actions. It can be to research an article, it can be to write an article, it can be to browse the web, even to use your computer if you are using something like Claude's and Anthropic's computer use. So they are special systems that specialize in performing a specific task. Now, the thing about CrewAI is that you have a goal. So you have what you want to achieve. For example, the demo we're going to be doing in this video, like I said, we're going to be building an agent or a multi-agent system that is going to write a technical article. So that is our goal. That's what we want to achieve. But then you have to break it to use CrewAI. You have to break it into tasks. You have to break it into simple tasks. So that's where the tasks come in. So you break it into simple tasks. For example, to write an article, we have to research the article, and then we have to write the article. And there can even be some in-between steps. There can be reviewing the article, and we can even choose to build an agent, to have another agent rather, that can publish the article. So those are the different steps to writing and publishing an article. So agents and our tasks, we then build a crew. We build a crew of agents, and we give it the subtasks for that particular goal. Like I said, for example, the demo in this video is going to be writing a technical article. So we have tasks that for researching the article and for writing the article. So we get to feed that into a crew, the agents to do the work. That's basically it. And the crew also defines how the agents are going to work. For example, in CrewAI, you can have the agents work sequentially or in an hierarchical manner, meaning that they can delegate and stuff like that. So we're going to be seeing how to do that. So that's how CrewAI works. You have agents that are specialized in performing different tasks. Then you give them a bunch of tasks. You bundle agents that will perform the tasks into a crew, and then you define your crew. And you also define how you want your crew to work. That's the main thing about CrewAI. So agents are specialized actors. So your agents are your specialized actors. Tasks is the breakdown of your overall goal, and you get to build a crew that will be a combination of agents to do the work and your sub tasks. That's everything about the basics of CrewAI. So with this knowledge in mind, we are going to be building a multi-agent system that is going to help us write a technical article. So that's going to be the part 2 of this video. So now that you understand what CrewAI is all about, in the next section of this video, we're going to be learning how to install CrewAI and how to build a simple project with CrewAI. And we will also get to see how to bootstrap or scaffold an entire full production level application with CrewAI, and I'm going to be walking through that also. So if you want to see that magic happen, stick around. So now that we understand what CrewAI is all about, let us write some code. And the first thing you will need to do is to install CrewAI on your system. You need to work a certain way. There's a way you can scaffold a new project, a new CrewAI project using the CrewAI command line tool. So you would want to have it installed. But if you don't want to use the CrewAI scaffolded application, you just want to build things from scratch, just as we're going to do the very first example in this demo, then you don't need to install this globally. But if you want to do so, you have to run pip install, then quite important, it's better to use this -- user flag so that you install it for your specific user on your system. And you can say CrewAI and CrewAI tools, CrewAI-tools. This helps you get it globally installed on your system. You can also say that instead of CrewAI tools, you can say CrewAI bracket tools. Yeah, so this will also make sure that CrewAI, the CrewAI package, and the CrewAI tools package are installed globally on your system. And you also want to make sure that the path to your installed Python packages is accessible or is included in your path variable. Once you have it installed, then you should be able to say CrewAI, get a bunch of documentation on how to use the CrewAI command line tool. That's for installing CrewAI on your system. But we're not going to be using the command line tool yet, right now for this demo we want to start with. We're going to be doing everything from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do, let's go into VS Code. Like I said, we're going to be building a multi-agent system that is going to help us write a technical article. Yeah, a multi-agent system that is going to help us write a technical article. So let me come here and create a txt file. Let's say project.txt, just to give ourselves some description. So we're going to be building a multi-agent system to write technical articles. Yeah, technical articles. That's what we're going to be building. And this system is going to have two agents. So we're going to have a research agent. Let me just put here, let's say agents. So we're going to have a research agent, and we're going to have a writer agent. So an agent to research the topic, browse the web, use the LLM's knowledge base, all that. And we're also going to have a writer agent who is going to actually write the application, the article. So those are the agents we're going to have. And our goal is to write technical articles, but we want to break that task into two subtasks. Like I said, inside a crew, you need to define subtasks for your particular task. If your task is simple enough, it can just be a single task. But most of the time you have to break it down into subtasks, especially when you need certain tasks to be handled by certain agents. So our subtasks, the first is to research. We're going to have a task to research the topic. And we're going to have another task to write the article into a markdown document. Yeah. So we're going to have those two tasks. Research using the LLM's knowledge base. The LLM can choose to browse the web. And once it's done, we can have the article written into a markdown document. So this is going to be our subtasks. And at the end of the day, what do we expect? What is expected? We expect an article in a markdown file. So we're going to get an actual article. This is not just the LLM spitting a bunch of stuff to us. It's going to be written, properly written, and saved into a file. We're going to have a markdown file. It's going to be saved into a file, and that file we can host it or just publish it on Medium or publish it on dev.to. So yeah, that's our project. Now to begin writing this project, the first thing we're going to do is to create a Python virtual environment. Yeah, it's always important to create a Python virtual environment when you want to write a Python project. So just go to open the command palette. I have the Python extension installed for VS Code. So that is why I have this helpful command that can help me create a Python virtual environment. But if you don't, you want to use the command line interface and you want to use the Python tool to create your virtual environment. But in VS Code, that's why I love VS Code. There's almost an extension for everything. So we have this Python extension. I think it's by Microsoft or something. So I can say Python : create environment. Python create environment. I'm going to click that. It says, do I want to create a .venv environment or a conda environment? .venv, definitely. It also asks me which of the Python installations on my system that I want to use. So definitely I'm going for the 3.11.6, which is the latest of the installed ones on my system. And yeah, it's creating the virtual environment. As you can see, we have the .venv file here. And yep, we have our environment. We have our environment created. Let me open the command line to see that we have. So yeah, we have .venv. You see it here. So our virtual environment is active at the moment. Let me raise this up because we're going to be doing a couple of stuff here. So yeah, so we have our project set up, and it has a virtual environment. And the first thing we're going to do is install CrewAI. Yeah, we're going to install CrewAI. That's for this demo. That's the only package we need. So I'm going to say pip install CrewAI. It's going to start getting a bunch of stuff. Sometimes this can take a while. So now our installation is done. We have CrewAI installed in our project. So that's good. I think I can bring this. I can remove this for now. Yeah, we'll come back to it. So now that we have CrewAI installed, let us create our crew file. That is the file that will be the entry point for our project. I'm just going to name this my crew.py. And this is where I'm going to be writing all the code for the application, every single thing. But like I said, later on, we're going to see how to scaffold a proper CrewAI application, especially according to the guys that created the framework. Let me get rid of this. Let's leave this here so that we know what we're doing. So like I said, let's come back here. We're going to have two agents, one to research and one to write. That's their core specializations. Then for our goal, which is to write a technical article, we're going to have two tasks. For a particular article we want to write, we're going to have two subtasks, which is researching the article and writing it, outputting it into a markdown file. So we're going to have that. And at the end of the day, we want to have a markdown file here that we can publish to our favorite blog. So to begin, first, we want to get a couple of things from CrewAI. So I'm going to say from CrewAI, import. We're going to get the agent, the task, crew, and the process package. Yeah, we're going to get this modules. We're going to get these modules in place. Process, yeah. So we have agent, task, crew, and process. You probably guessed what agent, task, and crew are for right now. But later on, we're going to be seeing what process does. So we get these modules from CrewAI. And then we begin, starting with our agents. So we start with agents, create our agents. And the first agent we want to create is our research agent, our researcher. We want to create our research agent, and we set that to agent. Yeah, we call agent, and here we can pass in all the required initialization parameters to create an agent. Now to create an agent, there are three important parameters. Yeah, there are three important parameters that you want to pass in. And those are your role, your goal, and a backstory. Yeah, those are the three most important parameters you want to initialize your agent with. There's so many other parameters. Like there's like, I think, up to 20 parameters that you can use to set up an agent, but these are the most important. Now, your role defines what role your agent is to assume. If you are very used to system instructions when you're trying to do prompt engineering, this is basically like a system instruction. You're saying, okay, you are a JavaScript expert. You are a pediatrician. That is what this is all about. That's what the role parameter is all about. Now, a researcher of topics using various credible sources. Let's save that. So that's the role. That's the role for our agent. So what's the goal? The goal kind of scopes the agent's actions, what the agent is to do. So the role defines what the agent is all about. But the goal scopes what it is to do so that it doesn't start going out of boundary. So this is like a guardrail for the agent. What are you meant to do? The goal. Now, for this agent, for this research agent, the goal is going to be to get detailed information on any topic you are asked to research. Get detailed information on any topic you are asked to research. Yeah. That is the goal of our agent. That's our agent's goal. Good. Now, finally, the backstory. The backstory, which is quite an interestingly named parameter. Now, the backstory is where you had all your context, like any context that is missing from the role, because the role has to be very, very specific. Yeah, you have to be very, very specific. You don't dance around when you're defining what the role should be. The role should be very, very specific. But the backstory, you can add more fluff. You can have more details for the agent so that it can further help the LLM that's going to be making this thing happen to know how the agent is supposed to reason, the context within the context within which the agent is to reason. And for this backstory, I'll just say you are an experienced researcher. You are an experienced researcher in the area of science. So now we are trying to say we're making the LLM understand that the research agent is actually scoped to scientific topics. So you are an experienced researcher in the area of science with multiple years of experience. Your principle is to always verify every piece of information. Good. So that's the backstory of our agent. That's the backstory of our agent. Our agent is an experienced researcher in the area of science with multiple years of experience. And its principle is to always verify every piece of information, meaning that we want the agent to self-check itself. We don't want hallucinations here. So that's our first agent. And then we can now create our second agent. Now, our second agent is going to be our writer. So the first agent researches the topic. The second agent writes the topic. So let's go ahead and create that writer agent. So it's a writer agent. And for that, we're also going to say agent. Scroll this up. Agent. Role. The role for this agent is going to be a professional writer of technical articles. Professional writer of technical articles. The goal for this agent, the goal is to take research information given to it and write a detailed article. So take research information given to you and write a detailed article. A detailed article. Okay. So that's the goal. Now what's the backstory for our agent, for our writing agent? Let's give it some, let's buff up its CV. So a writer with over a decade experience. Interesting. Writer with over a decade experience. Writing articles for top developer. Yeah. Writing articles for top developer blogs. Yeah. So this guy is really, really good. Really, really good. So we have our two agents. We have our research agent defined with the role to research, the goal, and the backstory, and also our writer agent to write. So we have our agents done. So let's mark those as done. Next, we need our subtasks. We want to write an article, and that's what we want to do. We want to write an article, and so we need the task itself. And for this, I'm going to be telling it to write GraphQL article. So let's say we want to write a GraphQL article, introduction to GraphQL, which is an article I've written in the past. So that's why it's my preference. It's one of my most popular articles out there. Introduction to GraphQL. So I want this agent to do what I did years back writing that article. I want this agent to do it. So I want to write a GraphQL article. So that would be the main task. Write a GraphQL an introduction to GraphQL. An introduction to GraphQL article. That's what we want to do. So to break that down into subtasks, definitely we want to research the GraphQL topic within an introductory level, and then we want to write it. So those are our subtasks. Now let us define them. Let's define our tasks. Now, to define a task, first let us create a variable for the task. I'm going to say research task, and we're going to be using task. So we're going to be using task and giving it a bunch of parameters, or a couple of parameters, not a bunch. And task takes a description of the task. It takes an expected output and the agent that is to perform the task. So the description of the task, an expected output, and the agent that's to perform the task. Those are the three main parameters for a task. If an agent is not specified, CrewAI tries its best to figure out which agent is supposed to perform the task based on the information or how you've defined the agent itself. But here we're going to be very, very specific. So the first thing we want to do is describe this first task, which is the research task. And that will be, according to what I wrote here, to conduct a thorough research on getting started with GraphQL. So conduct a thorough research on getting started with GraphQL. Conduct a thorough research on getting started with GraphQL. That's what we want it to do. That's the task. That's a subtask itself. So what is the expected output? We need to scope what we expect. We don't just want it to just dump every single thing or from the LLM or just pack a bunch of junk that are not necessary. Expect the output to be research information on the setup, configuration, example use, and use cases of GraphQL. So research information on the setup. I don't want to miss anything. Setup, configuration, example use, and use cases of GraphQL. So that itself scopes the article so that the LLM doesn't just keep writing on and on and on and writing as much as its context window can take. So let's try to keep things sane. So that's the expected output. Research information on setup, configuration, example use, and use cases of GraphQL. So lastly, we have the agent that is going to perform this task. Like I said, we're going to be specific with our agents, and we're going to say use the research agent. Yeah, use the research agent. So this agent should perform this particular subtask. So with that in place, let's write our next task, which is to write the article itself. So we're going to say write task. Yeah, write task. Or should I say writing task equals task. And we're also going to be giving it description, expected output. We're also going to be giving it another special parameter. We're going to set in another special parameter. But let's say this one's first. So the description would be write a 3-page article on getting started with GraphQL. So let's say write a 3-page article, on getting started with GraphQL. Get started with GraphQL. Yeah. A 3-page article, getting started with GraphQL. What is our expected output? Expected output, that will be a well-formatted and structured article. A well-formatted and structured article. So a well-formatted and structured article. And the agent that is to perform this, obviously, will be our writer agent. So our writer agent gets to perform this task. But we're going to be setting another parameter here. Like I said, we don't just want the agent's output because, come on, we can simply just prompt a chatbot and it's going to give us something like that. We actually want it to create a file, a markdown file, and write the article inside that markdown file as a proper professional article. So we're going to give it an output parameter, output file, and we're going to tell it to put the article, after writing the article, put it inside GraphQL, GraphQL.md, which is the markdown file. So GraphQL.md, put it inside GraphQL.md. Awesome. With our GraphQL.md. So we have that set up. So now we have, let's go back to the project. We have our 2 agents and we have our 2 subtasks. Let us define our crew. Let's now define our crew. So the crew is bringing together the agents that are going to perform the tasks and the subtasks themselves and telling them how they are to perform the task. So you can create this for different types of tasks. Now we're making it write an article on GraphQL, can make it write other articles or create other agents and make it do some sort of things like reviewing and stuff like that. So we're going to create a crew. I'm going to call that my_crew. Yeah, my crew. Set that to crew. Set that to crew. Or let's call this writing crew. So say writing crew. And we start defining our parameters for crew. The first parameter is our agents. The agents that are going to perform these tasks. So definitely we know that we're going to be using our 2 agents. So this value is actually set to a list, and that's going to be a list of our agents. For this particular application, we have 2 agents. So we have the research agent and we have the writer agent. Those are our 2 agents. Then the next parameter is going to be our tasks, which is basically the subtasks. The subtasks in this action I want to perform. Like I said, this entire crew defines the goal itself. So the tasks parameter is the subtasks that you have broken the main task into. The subtasks that you've broken the main task into. So we have tasks, and we have our research task, followed by our writing task. So research task, writing task. The next thing we want to define is our process. Yeah, our process. Sure, our process. So we want to define our process, how we want the tasks to be handled. And right now, this is where we use the process model, and we want it to be sequential. Right now, CrewAI supports sequential and hierarchical. So hierarchical is something like when you have like delegated tasks and something like that, or a cascading set of tasks. That's where you use an hierarchical process. But this sequential is good enough for this, just one after the other. We do the research, then write the article. That is good enough. So sequential. And we're also going to be setting variables true. This is something you don't want to do in production, but we want to see it here because it kind of shows us the process, the whole chain of thought process that the agents are going through to actually solve this task. So yeah, we want to see that in action. We want to see those pretty logs. So yeah, save that. So now we have our crew, we have the agents, we have the tasks, and we have our process, and we set variables to true so that we can see all the logs. So how do we run this? How do we run our crew? We'll simply say writing crew dot kickoff. Yeah, we call the kickoff function. This is the synchronous version of the kickoff function. It also has an asynchronous version, but the synchronous version is good enough for this task. So writing crew dot kickoff. That's how we run the crew. Now, before I run this, there's still one more thing we need to do before we run it. Before I run this, first, we created our agents, specific agentic systems that are specialized for a particular task. So for this writing task, we created a research agent and we created a writing agent. Then we broke down our main goal, which is to write a GraphQL article. We broke it into different tasks. So first is to research it and then write it. And we want to write it out to a GraphQL.md file. So once we have those defined, we build our crew and we kick off action. Now, you might wonder, where does the LLM come in? We should be using something like OpenAI or, yeah, sure. We'll need to have that in place. So by default, CrewAI uses OpenAI. So if you don't define the agent, because we can come and define an agent, or rather, not an agent, an LLM. We can come and define an LLM parameter for this, for our agents to use, telling our agents use this particular LLM. So let's say for the research agent, you want to use an agent that is more into reasoning, that is more powerful, a more powerful reasoning model, like Gemini 1.5 Pro. Yeah. But for writing, you can use an agent that is optimized for speed, like Gemini 1.5 Flash. Or you can even use a local SLM, small language model, for the writing, because it is not something that is reasoning intensive. But for research tasks, you want to use more powerful models. So you can define different models for different agents, and that makes it much more beautiful and much more. You can get that granular with how you want your tasks to be handled. So it uses OpenAI by default, but you can bring in let's say from LangChain, you can bring in the Google Generative AI libraries, set up Gemini models to run your agents. You can also do that for Anthropic also, but we're just going to be using the default here, keeping things simple. We're going to be using OpenAI. So to use OpenAI, we need to add our OpenAI API key. So let me pull up the command line. Now that we have our terminal open, we need to bring in our OpenAI API key. So to do that, I'm just going to say export OpenAI underscore API underscore key. Now open API key. I think I've already copied it. So you say export OpenAI API key. Now this will only be active for this terminal session. So if you want it to be global, you know how to do that from your bash or ZSH files. Or if you're in production, you want to use something like environment variables and stuff like that. So let me paste this in, my OpenAI API key, and hit enter. Hit enter. So now we have the API key in place. If I say echo, let me say echo OpenAI API key. Yeah, so we have that in place. Let me clear the screen once again. So now that we have the API key in place, which is something that you want to do, very, very important, we can now run our crew. Yeah, we can now run our crew. How cool is that? So to run the crew, I'm going to say Python mycrew.py. Python mycrew.py. And we're going to hit enter. Let me pull this terminal up very well so that we can see everything that's going on. Python mycrew.py and hit enter. Hope we don't have any bugs. Hope everything flows. Now, we will start to see the chain of thought reasoning of the model as it's going through this process, of the agents as they're going through this process. So we'll start seeing that very soon. So as you can see, we have some logs coming in already. It's already recognizing the first agent, trying to conduct a research. You see it's hanging a little bit. It's conducting the research. It is still going to come back with some result. And this is all showing up because we set verbose to true. And you can see at the very top, it says LLM not defined or something like that. Let me scroll up. It says LLM. Okay, this is already giving us back the stuff. So let me not cut that. So you see, it's coming in. It's hanging when it needs to do an asynchronous operation, maybe like write a file like our GraphQL file, GraphQL.md file, or trying to do some more research or some chain of thought reasoning. But this is all because we set verbose to true. It's all because we set verbose to true. And like I said at the very beginning, it says something like LLM not found or LLM not done. It's because we didn't define a specific LLM. So it assumed the default, which is the GPT, OpenAI GPT-4. That's actually the specific default model right now, OpenAI GPT-4. So default platform, OpenAI, default model, GPT-4. You assume that, use the API key to perform its operations. And as you can see now, it's done. The article is done. And now we have a new file. We have a new file called GraphQL.md. Now let us see what happens when we open this file. Okay, it's opened. Now I need to pull the terminal down. And yup, look at our article. All beautiful. Look at it. Introduction to GraphQL, setting up GraphQL. You see how it breaks it down. Environment setup, creating a new project. It even gives us code examples, creating a new project, initialize a new Node.js application. It's definitely using Node.js as a language. The basic configuration with Express. How awesome is that? Using the Express GraphQL package. And even you can see a table of content here that we can use to navigate around the article. Awesome. This is awesome. Let me pull this aside so I will see it better. see some examples here. Code examples, use cases of GraphQL, practical examples of GraphQL, and even further learning. Imagine further learning. How interesting is that? And came up with a conclusion just as a normal human writer would. And this is an article that is ready to be published. This is an article that is ready to publish. That's why agents are becoming a big hype right now, because they can autonomously perform tasks that could once be performed by humans. So as you can see here, we've been able to build a project from scratch to write an article. We defined agents, a multi-agent system, an agent for research, an agent for writing. We broke down our task into subtasks. We created a crew to run, to manage everything for us, to manage the multi-agent system for us. And now we have a lovely, ready to publish article. Definitely, you still have to review this to make sure that everything is fine. But come on, this is looking so lovely and so wonderful. And you can automate all this process. You can even automate the publishing process to your favorite developer blogs. And as you can see, we've been able to do a CrewAI project from scratch. Next, like I promised, we're going to be looking at how to use the CrewAI CLI itself to scaffold a new project. And we're going to see other ways that CrewAI recommends that we set up and run projects. As I said at the beginning of this tutorial, we are going to be using the CrewAI CLI to also scaffold a new CrewAI project, a standard CrewAI project. We've been able to see how we can build CrewAI agentic systems from scratch, like we just did with the GraphQL article, and now we're going to be using the CLI. But before that, I want to take this time to talk to you about Langcast. Langcast is the one-stop educational platform for learning about LangChain and AI engineering. LangChain and AI engineering, you're looking for courses on LangChain, check out Langcast. Now, at the time of recording this video, Langcast is still about to be published, so you might see a coming soon page. So try and subscribe so that we can inform you immediately we launch. We're going to be launching around April. So, but if you're already watching this video when we've launched, congratulations. You can just go to the site now and go and get modules on awesome topics like prompt engineering, like agentic systems, like using vector databases like Pinecone, understanding embeddings, in-depth study on LangChain, agentic systems, and AI engineering in general. So check that out. Now let us use CrewAI to scaffold a standard CrewAI project. And this is how you do it. You go to this location on your system where you want the application to be located. So you say CrewAI create crew. Yep. CrewAI create crew. And then you then give it your project name, which is going to be the default name for your folder, for the project. So CrewAI create crew. And I'm just going to call this sample agentic system. Yeah, sample agentic system. So CrewAI create crew, sample agentic system. I'm going to hit enter. And just watch it do its thing. So it gives me this interactive setup screen where it first asks me to select a provider for the setup. Like I said, you can use different providers for your CrewAI projects, but it uses OpenAI by default. Most likely that's why it's number one on this list. So there's OpenAI, there's Anthropic, there's Gemini, there's NVIDIA, there's Grok, Llama for highly hosted models. But we're still going to be going with OpenAI, so I'm just going to say 1. And yep, it takes 1. Which OpenAI model do I want to use? GPT-4, GPT-4o, GPT-4o mini. O3 is going to be, yesterday that O3 is going to be available soon, so we might have O3 here soon. But for here, we just want to use GPT-4, which is also the default and the number 1 option. So I'm just going to say 1 once again. And it tells me to put in my OpenAI key. So yeah, take that key once again and let me go. Okay, so after giving it the key, it tells us API keys and model saved to .env file. So a lot of your sensitive stuff is managed from the .env file. And we selected GPT-4 model, and it created all these files that we're going to be going through. So I'm going to open this up in Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to be telling you something about CrewAI project and 2 different ways that you can actually run them. So now we're in VS Code. This is the project that we created. Sample agentic system. That's the project that we created. We have it here created for us, and we have a bunch of files and folders that we can go through. This is the standard project structure according to the CrewAI creators. Yeah, so that's why the CLI gives us this structure. And we're going to be going through them. Knowledge, I've not really seen this knowledge part before, but I know it has something to do with RAG and whenever you want to bring in custom knowledge into the application, because you can use your private information sources for it. So that's what this folder is for. But I'm not very familiar with this folder, but I know what knowledge is when it comes to CrewAI. But the main part we're going to be looking at is the source, is a source folder. And the source folder also has inside it the folder name, the same folder name with the umbrella folder name, that's sample agentic system. It has the same folder name. And like I said earlier, there are two ways that CrewAI allows you to create projects. And that is using a YAML configuration or direct code. YAML configuration or direct code. So how does it work? For the YAML configuration, everything we did in the last project where we defined an agent and we defined the role, goal, and backstory directly in the agent module, we get to do that from a YAML file. So what the agent module just does is it loads in that YAML file. That's what it does. It just loads in that YAML file, or it loads in the section that defines that agent in a YAML file. So the same goes for tasks, and that is actually the CrewAI recommended way. It's recommended way, but it's not recommended because it's by default the only way things are supposed to be done. It's just because it scales better in production. It scales better in production. For large systems, you can use direct code if you're still building something simple, something straightforward like we did in the last demo, in the previous demo rather. But very standard projects that are going to definitely grow, you want to use the YAML configuration. And that's why we have a config folder here, or a config folder, and we have a YAML file, one for agents and one for tasks. One for agents and one for tasks. If we open up the one for agents, you see an agent is defined here, researcher. Its role is defined. Its goal is defined. And it has a backstory. Also has a backstory. And it also has the ability to take in variables. You can make it dynamic. You can make your agents dynamic, not like hard-coded. You can have some dynamic variables within their definitions. So role, goal, backstory. You see for the researcher, we have another one, reporting analyst. Also the role, goal, and backstory. And you can keep defining every other parameter in here and load it into your agent configuration. We're going to see how to do that soon. So like I said, the same goes for tasks. You can also build your tasks here. So you can swap these YAML configurations and your agents and tasks just pick it up and they get automatically configured. So that's the recommended way, but it is not like, it's not saying like it's the only or best way. So we have also the tools section where you can write your custom tools. There's a custom tool here. This just shows the structure of writing a custom tool. So the custom tool here, besides that, we have the init.py file, and we have these two main files. These are the two main files for the application. We have the crew.py file. This is where you define your crew. So you load in your agents, you load in your tasks, then you define your crew. Loading your agents, you load in your tasks, define your crew. Now you can have different types of different files like this for different crews. Like in the previous example, we had a crew that wrote a GraphQL article. We might want to have another crew that would do something else, maybe write a Node.js article or write a Python article or do something totally different from writing an article. So let me pull this aside. We import agent, crew, process, and task. Get rid of this. Import agent, crew, process, and task, just as we did in the previous section. Then we also import CrewAI from CrewAI.project. We import some annotations, some decorators that we can use to set things up. And those are going to be for the stuff that we're going to be loading from the YAML file. So we create this crew-based class, which is the class for our crew, the sample agentic system. Then we get our configuration locations, one for the agents. We also get the ones for the tasks, tasks.yaml. Then we create our agents as functions. We create them as functions. So you see this function, this researcher function returns an agent. Researcher function returns an agent. And we use the agent decorator on it to specify that this is an agent. So we actually create our agents like functions. And what do we do inside that? We return an agent. And we use the config property of that agent Need to get rid of all this IntelliSense stuff. We use the config property of that agent to load in the configuration. See, self.agentsconfig. And we load in the one for researcher, which is the name that we give it here. Researcher. So we load in researcher this way. We set verbose to true. We do the same thing for reporting analyst. We decorate it with the agent decorator. We make it a function that returns an agent, and we actually return an agent from it and use the config parameter to load in the configuration for the agent also. So we do that, and for task, we do it's a similar structure for tasks. We define functions for tasks. They return a task object, and they also make use of the config property inside the task module to return a task object. So we get our tasks set up. You see the output file. It also has an output file. We set an output file that is not in the configuration. We set it directly here. And then we define our crew also as a function decorated with the crew decorator. So at crew, we define our crew as a function. It returns a crew, and we use the crew module to return a crew. Inside this crew, we set our agents, and because we're using this class syntax, self.agent automatically packs all the agents. It does every single function decorated with the at agent decorator. It just packs them into self.agent. So we don't need to specify the agents one by one. The same thing goes for tasks. We don't need to specify the tasks one by one in an array. Self.tasks takes in everything. We define our process as sequential, and we set verbose to true. So that's good. So we have this class that we've defined. Now, how do we run this CrewAI? That's what takes place in main.py. Main.py is where is the entry point for our application. So it's where we run our crews. So you see here some boilerplate stuff. And then the main part is where we run our crew. We define the inputs. Like I said, in the configuration file, you can introduce some dynamic properties. So you want to set that in the inputs parameter for the crew. So the topic is AI LLMs. The current year, there's a current year configuration somewhere here. I think it's inside tasks. Yeah, so current year variable. So we also feed that into here. That's why we brought in all these datetime class and stuff. So we then call our class, which is simple agentic system. That's the class that was defined here with crew base. We call our crew function, and we call kickoff. Remember kickoff from the last demo. So we call kickoff, and we pass in our inputs. Then we also do some error handling. We try and accept. So we do that. And we also define some functions for training and for replay, because you can actually replay different stop gaps in your agentic workflows. So CrewAI also gives you the ability to do that. We also have a test function to run our test files. But what we're most interested in is run. That's a run function. So how do we run this stuff? How do we run this? Now, the good thing about this project is that everything is already set up. As you can see from the setup screen, we got to tell it that we're using OpenAI, and we also give it our OpenAI key. So if I open up my command line, let's open up command line, sample agentic system. Let's, okay, this doesn't have a virtual environment. So let us do Command Shift P and create a virtual environment for this quickly. Set up a virtual environment so that is in place. Virtual environment kicking in. This seems to be installing the packages already. So let's just wait for that. So I think our virtual environment is done being set up. The installation kind of took place during that, so that's why that took a while. But if you want to install your packages, you can simply run CrewAI install rather. You run CrewAI install in your project. Let's run that, CrewAI install. So that's how you actually install the CrewAI packages for this project. So let's just make sure that everything for this project is already installed by running CrewAI. As you can see, it starts installing a bunch of packages, preparing them, and it's done. It's done. Probably because, like I said, during the setup of the virtual environment, I think some stuff were installed. But it's done. So we're done. So let's clear this. Now to run the project, if you, like I said, in this main.py file, there's a couple of functions. There's the run function, which calls kickoff, which is the one that actually runs the crew. Then we have train, we have replay, and we have test. But the one we're interested in is run. So how do we run that? To run it, we simply say CrewAI run. CrewAI run. This is what is going to run the project. Now, what does this project even do? What does it do? Let's find out before we run it. So the task is to conduct a thorough research about a specific topic, which has been specified here to be AI LLMs. Then we'll get a detailed report. So it's to create a detailed report. It researches and creates a detailed report. And is there an output file? I think there was an output file somewhere here. Yeah, output file report.md. So something kind of similar to the example that we did. So let's say CrewAI run. Let's trigger this run function. CrewAI run. Pull this up. Pull this to the side. CrewAI run. And let us see what we get. So it says running the crew. Let's hope we don't get any errors. So yeah, AI LLM senior data researcher. That's the first agent. That's the research agent. So it's conducting its thorough research. It's hanging because it has to connect to the knowledge base of the LLM and get stuff out. So now the reporting analyst is doing its work. And very soon we should have our report.md file. So let's just count a couple of seconds. And once we return to the command is returned to the system from the LLM, we are sure to have our report.md file. So let's just wait a few seconds for that. And it's done. And it's done. You can see the output here, like I said, because verbose is set to true. Verbose is also set to true for this agent. So now let's see if we got the report.md file. Let me collapse this, guys. And if we come here, you see at the root of the project, we have report.md. We have report.md. You open that up, you close this. See our report, our detailed report, artificial intelligence, legal language models, really? Legal language. Let's see the input that was given to it. If there was a problem from there. AI LLMs, legal language models. Call it legal language models. Super weird. The AI is having a problem understanding itself. Well, anyway, it says legal education. Maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, maybe I'm missing something. Let's see the tasks. Okay. Conduct a thorough research about the topic. Make sure you find interesting and relevant information given the current year is this. List 10 bullet points of regular information. Okay. Reporting. Review the context that you've got and expand the topic into a full section for report. Nothing here talks about being legal, so I don't know where you got that legal stuff from. Anyway, yeah, that's why you have to run but verify. Yeah, run but verify. And that brings us to the end of this getting started with CrewAI. I hope you've gotten a couple of things from this tutorial. And like I said, if you need very easy to consume courses and modules on LangChain, which is one of the biggest frameworks for building AI workflows, from simple AI workflows to complex agentic workflows with LangGraph, check out langcasts.com. Langcasts.com. I'm going to put a link in the description. I'm also going to put in a link in the description for the first demo rather. For the first demo, I'm going to be putting a link in the description. You can run this second demo yourself. It's just like the default that comes with CrewAI. So like I was saying, check out langcasts.com. At the time of recording this video, we getting the project off the ground. So you will see a coming soon page where you can subscribe and we'll inform you immediately. We really will pre-launch and there's going to be a bonus coming with that. But if you're watching this tutorial when we've already launched, congratulations. You can dive right in immediately and get the best lessons on LangChain and AI engineering. Learn about creating AI workflows, implementing AI in your application, and also building powerful and useful agents. Till I see you in another video, I remain FK.